Greetings, and you're watching Septum Sin vs. the World. I'm Septum Sin. So today, I am going to continue along the path of self-destruction. I am so tired of my own well-being that I am continuing to subject myself to this particular brand of self-imposed torture. It's my fault. I understand. It is. It really is. But this really brings me to the one that started it all. The one that I impulsively grabbed thinking it was the sequel to another movie series, when indeed this was the sequel to a cheesy B horror series. So I present to you Skeleton Key, Part 2, 667. The Neighbor of the Beast. Now, this particular film is... well, what can I tell you? I found it finally for $14. It usually goes for much more than that. I don't even think it's available to buy on DVD now. It's extremely out of print. And I jumped on it. Not thinking. Sadly, not thinking. And I ended up with this. So, let's get started as to our continued storyline. We rejoin our heroes a little bit later. I mean, he's back at home. And then he's sent this videotape of his friend in danger back in the evil town of Nilbog. Again, see my first review. I will put a link to it in the description. So, our reluctant hero eventually decides to go back and save his friend, with, of course, the other cast of characters, the racial stereotype team. And they fight zombies and a mecha and various other things, and do stuff, and then after a time period the movie ends. Well, that's pretty much Skeleton Key 2. I really can't explain what it is that happens, because what I told you is basically the plot. We don't even really get to the main plot after the first couple of moments of the movie. I mean, it is ultra insanity. That feeling that I got that they just dressed people up and said, go with it. That's even stronger here. I mean, I don't know what to say in that particular vein. It's just that way. Now, this is where I usually talk about the good side of a film, and there are actually good things to this film. So let me go ahead and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Skeleton Key 2 actually is an improvement over the original. I actually did enjoy this. This one did not outright offend me as much as the other one did. It still had some of the racial stereotyping. It still had some of the offensive jokes. It still was blatantly throwing naked women in your face. And though I don't mind that, overall I do think that it's overused. Exactly, Foo. So, we're talking about this in a way that it's actually, a little bit less severe. But they also dialed up the madness to 100. And in a way that's actually, it makes it somewhat enjoyable. It actually takes what the first one was, builds upon it, and makes it something that you're capable of enjoying, which is something that is not the case of the original Skeleton Key. Well, I mean, you can enjoy it, but it's not as lovely or enjoyable, as the other one. Now, with that being said, we've gone through what I consider the likable points. I mean, it makes you laugh a little bit. It's just that cheesy, and so you can get some enjoyment out of it. But let's get to some of the bad parts. This movie stutters on aimlessly for over 2 hours. 2 hours. I love B films. I love cheesy B films. I love bad cheesy B films. But B films tend to run 60 minutes to 80 minutes. So the cheese is contained very well. And so you can enjoy your cheese. You can actually enjoy it. You can savor it a little bit, but you don't get overwhelmed with it. This thing was 2 hours long. You start to go a little insane yourself by the end of this, and that kind of freaks me out in that way. It really does. Of course, the typical things that are there. The over-sexualization, the dirty jokes, the racial stereotyping, all the offensive stuff, blah, blah, blah. Offensive, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just going to leave it at that with the offensive stuff. The fact that this was just aimless, it really does kind of get to you. I mean, aimless 2-hour features kind of throw you for that loop. I think one of these days I'm going to actually look at the interviews that are on some of these so I can get maybe a little bit of a better idea as to how they were doing this and what they were doing. I mean, with the costume design still being pretty good and there, I mean, the references were entertaining as well. Oh, back to giving some good. So yeah, I do think, it's interesting how they use a lot of references, and being somebody in my generation, that they reference a lot from that generation. So, final verdict? Skeleton Key 2 is a great upgrade to Skeleton Key 1. It actually makes Skeleton Key 1 look very poor in comparison. And therefore it brings itself up to the level of just above mediocrity, and that in itself gives it a 6, as far as I'm considering. A 6 out of 10, which isn't too bad. Matter of fact, is much better than the 1 point some rating that it actually has on IMDb. So I still say, if you can find this, pick it up. It is a very hard to find piece, and it is actually worth a watch. I have a function that sometimes I use. I wasn't able to use it for this, but where I can actually do it at 2 times speed and still hear the sound. And trust me, yeah, it's hard for the first couple of minutes, but after you concentrate on it a while, it actually starts playing pretty well. And that would have been a good way of doing this. Actually, it might be funnier watching that at double speed. Yeah, I do say it's worth checking out. Just, get a group of friends together, get some alcohol, get, whatever it is that you want, put this in, and just, enjoy yourselves for the night. One final thing and one final point on this series I'm going to make is I do actually find the opening song that they sing amusing. I mean, it sticks in your head for a while, and it just says, this is going to be a cheesy movie, we're not apologizing for that, and you can enjoy it. So, with that being said, I wish you well, and best wishes on watching another terrible movie. Pray for me. There's 2 more left.